was crucified. He was crucified and hung out to dry. And nobody really had his back. Nobody really backed him up. And then to look now, this is his vision. We're going to see how far this goes. Okay. I definitely commend all the sports players for stepping up and doing the right thing by protesting this, because they have children as well that are growing up, starting to drive around and live their lives. So it's starting to sink in. You would think I think the same way. I'm like, I didn't know that they were that woke to even acknowledge it. As long as I'm getting a check, I'm living my dream, I'm shooting hoops. Because if they don't play, they don't get paid. Especially if you're not a top tier player. You know, you might have a contract where you're guaranteed so many millions, and then some of that money is pushed to you. A majority of that money is pushed up front. But if you're not a top tier player, if you don't play, you don't get paid. So they're making a sacrifice here. They're giving up championships. They're giving up playoffs. They're giving up money. They're giving up. They're making a sacrifice, regardless how you look at it. So I'm proud of them, and I think this really should trickle down to us, because if anything brings people together, it is sports and entertainment. I don't care how racist you are. I don't care how you don't like this group of people or that group of people. When it comes to sports and entertainment, you're going to sit in the same venue and you're going to enjoy the same show. And sometimes walk out talking about how good of a show it was, how horrible of a show it was, but you come together. I hope this is the start of something that trickles down to the communities, to the citizens. I look at truck driving, what I'm doing, and I'm watching updates and news on this thing about how the sports community is coming together to put everything to a halt. Even got a famous tennis player. I can't recall her name, but she was due to play tomorrow or today or whatever, and she refused to play. That's popping, man. And she's not even African American. I'm like frustrated, and I hope this trickles down, because if something comes together to where we just say, hey, and realize that we have the power to shut things down. We have that power. We are the number one consumers in this country. We're on the top in sports, entertainment, and multiple other things, where we have power if we just come together. If they come and say, hey, and I ask myself this, if my community came to me and say, hey, put everything to a halt, would I be willing to jump off the truck and sacrifice what I have going on to say, I'm not hauling any more loads and I'm going home until I see change? That would be a major sacrifice for me. But would I be willing to do it? Honestly, I think I would. I think I would be willing to go home. I think it would take some really serious thinking, but for me, how I feel right now, I would definitely be down with it. Would you? If it came down to walking away for change and to show this country that we matter. We spend money. We built this country. We matter. And that's a fact. But as long as you continue to gun us down in the street like dogs, keep us at halt from excelling, and I don't want to hear all that pull yourself up by the bootstrap crap. I can't afford bootstrings. There's some people out here, they don't know a way. They don't have a way. Something needs to be in place for education, because the education sucks. The job market is good for some people, but for the majority of people out here, it's messed up. It's so many things you need to have, and there's so many strikes against you because of the environment that you grew up in, that when it's time for you to get down and get busy and become a man or a woman and work, you have all these strikes against you where nobody wants to hire you. You don't have an education. You may have some felonies and all this other stuff, so they don't want to hire you. Or just for the way you look, they're not going to hire you. Where you're from, they're not going to hire you. So it's not just get out there and do it. Yeah, you can find your way, but when you're so stressed out and you have all this stuff over your head, man, it's hard to focus. And sometimes just a little encouragement, or someone to show a little compassion, or someone to put a fire under someone and say, hey man, you got this, you can do that. But when all your life you're looked at as the bottom of the barrel or the scum of the earth, psychologically that does something to you. I salute those players, and I'm going to stand behind them. I'm going to support them. I hope you do too. I hope you do too. You unsuccessfully tase them. I don't see it. I don't see it, man. It just don't sound right to me. It don't sound right to me. It don't sound. Nothing warrants you shooting that guy in the back like that. Nothing warrants that. Nothing warrants that. What? Well, I don't get it. And nothing you can say to make me get it. Nothing you can make me say get that. Let's sit back. Let's see what happens. But in the meantime, we need to really be thinking, what are we willing to sacrifice for change? You look at the movements from back in the day. Those people they sacrificed a lot. Blood, sweat, tears, money, time. They sacrificed a lot. We haven't really done nothing. We riot and protest, and I definitely believe that most of these riots are ensued by agents. I've seen videos of people pointing out police officers, and these police officers got on masks and they're dressed kind of funny, and they're setting fire to police cars and breaking out windows and starting these looting things. Why they do that is beyond me. I guess to kind of say, hey, see, we told you, this community don't know how to act, or this community is untamable or savage or whatever. I don't think these people, our brothers and sisters, should be forgotten. So I'm just going to name out a few names. George Floyd, 46 years old. Floyd was handcuffed on the ground as Officer Derek Chauvin knelt on his neck for 8 minutes 8 to 10 minutes, but it says 8 minutes and 46 seconds. You have Breonna Taylor. She was 26 years old. Taylor and her boyfriend, Kenneth Walker, were sleeping when 3 plainclothes officers arrived at their apartment to execute a search warrant in a drug case. They believe it was a break-in, and Walker called 911 and fired his licensed firearm. Taylor, who was unarmed, was shot 8 times. Tatiana Jefferson, she's 28 years old. A police officer shot and killed Jefferson through the window of her home in the presence of her 8-year-old nephew. The police were responding to a call from a neighbor who reported that Jefferson's front door had been left open. Aurora Roser, she was 40 years old. Roser's boyfriend, Victor Stevens, called 911 to ask the police to escort her out of the house because of an altercation. The official report says that when the officer entered the home, Rogers was holding a knife and refused to drop it. Officer Mark Rabb used his taser. Officer David Reed fired a single shot that killed her. Stephon Clark, he was 22. Officers said that they believe Clark was holding a gun as they shot at him more than 20 times. Clark was only holding a mobile phone. Botham Jean, he was 26 years old. Jean was shot by off-duty police officers Amber Geiger after she entered his apartment believing she said that it was hers and he was a dangerous intruder. Philando Castile. Police dashcam video of a traffic stop shows a police officer shooting Castile seconds after he informed him that he had a legal firearm. Castile girlfriend Diamond Reynolds, who was in the car along with her 4-year-old daughter, captured the aftermath on Facebook Live. Alton Sterling, he was 37. Sterling was shot by Officer Blaine Salamoni, one of 2 officers who confronted him outside a shop. He was tasered and pinned to the ground before being shot 6 times. In the video footage, Salamoni can be heard threatening to shoot Sterling in the head, and then after the shooting repeatedly called him a stupid motherfucker. Michelle, I guess that's Kazoo, Cusseaux. She was 50 years old. 4 police officers arrived to serve a court-ordered transport to an inpatient mental health facility. Possibly confused, Kazoo had an exchange with the officers who decided to remove her security door. They said she charged towards them with a hammer. Sergeant Percy Dupra fired a single shot. Kazoo died shortly after. Freddie Gray, he was 25. Gray had been arrested and placed in the back of a police van. He was found dead 45 minutes later. His spinal cord nearly severed. His hands and feet had been shackled, and without a seatbelt, he could not protect himself as he was tossed around inside the vehicle. These are just a few. There's many more. When will it stop? When will it end? Will there be certain incidents? Yes. But on a constant basis, every freaking month, every other month. And it just seems like it's just constant that we have to hear about one of our own being shot down in the street like dogs. Something has to be done. I want to take action. I want to stand behind people that are standing up, taking action. And I'm ready to ride. What about you? Y'all have a good one. I'm out.